Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple truth. Formal education can make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. Every single day of your life you are faced with a choice. Will you grow or will you stay the same? Will you sharpen your mind or will you let it rust? Life does not get better by chance. Life gets better by chance. And change begins with learning. The power of daily education. Education is not just what happens inside the four walls of a classroom. It is not a degree you hang on your wall and forget about. Education is life itself. It is growth. It is progress. It is the fuel that drives success. Too many people make the mistake of thinking that education ends the day they leave school. They graduate, they get a job, and then they close the books forever. But let me tell you something that will change your perspective. If you stop learning, you stop leading. If you stop growing, you start declining. The human mind is like a garden. If you cultivate it, plant good seeds, water it daily, and nurture it, it will bear fruit. But if you neglect it, weeds will grow automatically. Ignorance, fear, doubt, and bad habits. These are the weeds of the mind. And the only way to fight them is by planting new seeds of knowledge every single day. Learning beyond formal education. Formal education will make you a living. Yes, but self-education will make you a fortune. And I don't just mean financial fortune, though that is a part of it. I mean the fortune of wisdom, the fortune of perspective, the fortune of confidence, and the fortune of opportunities that come only to those who are prepared. Think of the people you admire most. The leaders, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the visionaries. They are not great simply because they were lucky. They are great because they made learning a daily habit. They invested in themselves long after the classroom days were over. Why daily education matters? Now you might say, Jim, I don't have time to study every day. But here's my response. If you don't have time to improve yourself, then what do you have time for? We all get 24 hours a day. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not the number of hours they have, but what they do with those hours. A person who spends 1 hour a day reading, studying, or reflecting will be miles ahead of the person who spends that same hour scrolling through social media or watching meaningless television. Daily education sharpens your mind the way daily exercise strengthens your body. Just as you wouldn't expect to get fit by going to the gym once a year, you can't expect to get mentally strong by reading one book every 5 years. Education, like health, is built through consistent discipline. The small habits that create big change. Let me give you an example. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every day, in 1 year you will have read 3,650 pages. That's about 15 books. 15 books of new ideas, new strategies, new philosophies, shaping your thinking, your decisions, and your future. If you dedicate 30 minutes a day to listening to educational audio programs while driving instead of listening to the same radio songs, you can turn your car into a mobile classroom. In 1 year, you will have invested over 180 hours in self-education, the equivalent of several college courses. The secret is not intensity. The secret is consistency. One drop of water doesn't carve a rock, but drops repeated day after day, year after year, can cut through the toughest stone. That's the power of daily education. The competitive advantage. The world is changing faster than ever before. Technology, business, communication, even human behavior, it's all evolving at lightning speed. And here's the truth, if you're not growing, you're falling behind. The person who educates themselves daily is not just keeping up, they are staying ahead. They become more valuable in the marketplace, more influential in their community, more respected in their family. Why? Because knowledge multiplies opportunities. The one who reads, studies, and learns sees possibilities that others don't. While some people complain about problems, the educated mind finds solutions. While others fear change, the educated mind adapts and thrives. Stories of daily education. Think of Abraham Lincoln. He had less than 1 year of formal schooling, But he educated himself daily by reading books by candlelight. That daily commitment to learning shaped him into one of the greatest leaders in history. Think of Benjamin Franklin. He believed in the discipline of self-education so deeply that he created his own personal improvement plan and followed it religiously. He became a writer, inventor, diplomat, and one of the founding fathers, all because he chose to educate himself every single day. Think of modern-day entrepreneurs and leaders. Their secret is not just hard work. It is learning faster than everyone else. They understand that every new skill, every new idea, every new insight is a tool in the toolbox of success. What happens if you don't educate yourself daily? Now let's flip the coin. What happens if you don't make daily education a priority? You remain the same person you were last year. You repeat the same mistakes. You face the same limitations. The world changes around you, but you stay stuck in old ways of thinking. The worst part, you lose confidence in yourself, because deep down, you know you are not growing. And when you are not growing, life begins to feel stagnant. But here's the good news. The very moment you pick up a book, take a course, listen to a lecture, or reflect on new ideas, you've already broken that cycle. Growth begins again. Your challenge. So my challenge to you is simple. Commit to daily education. Read at least 10-20 minutes a day. Listen to one motivational or educational program every morning. Take notes on what you learn. Reflect and apply it to your life. It doesn't take hours, it doesn't take a degree, it takes discipline. Because the person you will be in 5 years will be shaped not just by the people you meet or the opportunities that come your way, but by the knowledge you acquire every single day. Closing thought. Remember this. Don't just go through the day. Get from the day. Extract wisdom from every book, every experience, every conversation. Education is not a one-time event. It is a daily habit. And the more you learn, the more you earn, not just in money, but in character, in influence, and in the richness of life itself. That is the power of daily education. Self-education builds wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you a principle that has shaped my life and the lives of countless others. If you want to change your income, you must first change yourself. The marketplace does not reward need. It does not reward desire. It rewards value. And the only way to increase your value is to increase your knowledge, sharpen your skills, and expand your wisdom. That is why I say over and over again, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. The difference between living and fortune. When I was a young man, I asked myself a simple question. Why is it that some people work hard all their lives, yet barely get by, while others seem to attract wealth and opportunities with ease? The answer came to me through mentorship. One of my first mentors said, "Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. Don't just wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't just wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills." That one lesson turned my life upside down. I realized that the people who were thriving weren't necessarily smarter than me, they weren't luckier than me, and they weren't born with special privileges. They simply chose to work harder on themselves than they did on their jobs. Why self-education is the key. Your job can give you wages, but your self-education can give you wealth. Wages buy you food, pay the bills, keep you surviving, but wealth opens the door to freedom, contribution, legacy, and choice. And wealth doesn't just mean money. Wealth means a wealth of ideas, a wealth of relationships, a wealth of influence, and a wealth of opportunities. The reason most people never move beyond survival is because they stopped learning the day they left school. They thought their education was finished. But here's the truth. Your formal education teaches you how to make a living, but your self-education teaches you how to create a life. The marketplace rewards value. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are earning $20 an hour. That's what the marketplace says you are worth right now. The question is, how can you increase your value to $50 an hour, $100 an hour, or even more? The answer is not to complain about unfairness or to demand more without becoming more. The answer is to develop yourself until the marketplace can't ignore you. If you learn communication skills, leadership skills, sales skills, financial skills, if you grow your mindset, your discipline, your creativity, you will soon become more valuable. And when you become more valuable, the marketplace will reward you. That's why self-education builds wealth. Because the more you grow, the more you can give. And the more you give, the more you receive. Stories of self-education and wealth. History is full of people who started with very little but became wealthy through self-education. Take Andrew Carnegie. He started as a poor immigrant boy working in factories, but he educated himself, read every book he could find, surrounded himself with mentors, and eventually became one of the richest men in America. Take Warren Buffett. He says the best investment you can make is not in stocks, not in real estate, not in business ventures, but in yourself. He has spent a lifetime reading, studying, and learning. Today, his wealth is measured not only in billions of dollars, but in influence, wisdom, and impact. Or look at Benjamin Franklin. With very little formal schooling, he became a scientist, inventor, diplomat, and founding father. How? Through relentless self-education. These men prove a timeless principle. Wealth begins in the mind before it ever shows up in the bank account. The compound effect of knowledge. Self-education doesn't pay off overnight, but over time, it compounds. One book leads to another. One new skill leads to another opportunity. One improved habit leads to a transformation. It's like planting seeds in a field. At first, it looks like nothing is happening, but over time, those seeds grow into a harvest that can feed you for years. Every page you read, every seminar you attend, every note you take, every idea you reflect on, it's all adding to your personal bank of wealth. Excuses or results. Now, some people say, Jim, I don't have the money to invest in self-education. Let me tell you, the greatest education available today costs almost nothing. A book can cost less than a meal, yet it can change the direction of your entire life. The internet has made it possible to learn from the greatest minds in history for free or close to free. It's not a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness. The real question is not, can I afford self-education? The real question is, can I afford to live without it? Self-education creates freedom. The beautiful thing about self-education is that it gives you choices. When you increase your skills, you're no longer trapped in one job. You can move, pivot, start a business, create value wherever you go. That is freedom. Wealth is not just measured in money. It is measured in freedom of time, freedom of location, and freedom of decision. And all of that begins with self-education. Your challenge. So here sits my challenge to you. Dedicate 30 minutes every day to self-education. Read the books that can change your thinking. Listen to the audio programs that sharpen your skills. Write down the lessons that stand out. Apply what you learn to your work, your relationships, and your goals. Do this consistently, and I promise you, 5 years from now, you will not recognize yourself. Your income will change. Your confidence will change. Your influence will change. Because wealth is not something you pursue. Wealth is something you attract by the person you become. Closing thought. Remember this. Your income rarely exceeds your level of personal development. So if you want to earn more, become more. If you want to achieve more, learn more. If you want to build wealth, build yourself first. Because at the end of the day, the secret is simple. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Self-education builds wealth. The compound effect of learning. There is a principle that rules not only money, not only health, not only relationships, but every part of life. It is the principle of compound effect. Small disciplines repeated consistently add up over time to extraordinary results. And nowhere is this principle more powerful than in learning. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day, but they underestimate what they can do in a year or in 5 years if they commit to steady daily growth. The power of small daily gains. Let me put it this way, reading 10 pages of a good book doesn't seem like much. It might take 15 minutes. On any single day, you won't notice much change. But here's the magic, 10 pages a day becomes 300 pages a month and 3,600 pages a year. That's the equivalent of 15 to 20 life-changing books. And those books contain ideas, strategies, philosophies, and insights that can alter the course of your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your destiny. 15 books a year for 10 years, that's 150 books. Imagine the person you would become with that level of knowledge. Imagine the confidence, the perspective, the wisdom. This is the compound effect of learning. Why it works. The compound effect works because knowledge builds on knowledge. One new idea connects with another. One skill enhances another. When you learn communication, it helps your leadership. When you learn leadership, it improves your career. When you learn finance, it helps you manage your wealth. When you learn personal development, it improves every area of your life. It's like stacking bricks. One brick doesn't make a wall, but brick by brick, day by day, you build a fortress. That's why I say don't measure learning by what happens in a day. Measure it by what happens over time. The danger of neglect. Now let's look at the other side. The compound effect doesn't just work for success. It also works for failure. Skipping your reading one day doesn't seem like a big deal. Putting off that seminar, ignoring that podcast, neglecting that reflection, it doesn't hurt much in the moment. But when you do it every day for months, for years, the price is enormous. You look back after 5 years and realize you're in the same place, facing the same problems, earning the same income, and repeating the same mistakes. Neglect, just like discipline, compounds. One small act of neglect doesn't ruin your life, but repeated neglect destroys potential. The math of learning. Let's run the math. Suppose you commit to just 30 minutes of learning each day. That's 3.5 hours a week, 14 hours a month, and 168 hours a year. That's the equivalent of 4 full-time college courses. Imagine doing that not for 1 year, but for 5 years or 10. By then, you would be considered an expert in your field. You'd have insights that most people only dream about. You'd have the kind of wisdom that makes you indispensable to your company, your clients, your family, and your community. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. Not overnight, not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through the daily discipline of learning. Stories of the compound effect. Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb in a single afternoon. He failed thousands of times, but each failure taught him something. Each experiment built on the last until one day the compound effect of learning gave the world electricity. Think of athletes. A single practice doesn't make a champion, but years of training, small improvements, and consistent effort compound into Olympic gold. Think of your own life. The skills you have today are the result of small bits of learning you picked up along the way. Maybe it was one book, one mentor, one class, one experience. Over time, they shaped you into who you are today. Now imagine doubling, tripling, or multiplying that process intentionally through daily education. Where could you be 5 years from now? The investment mindset. Here's how I want you to think about it. Every time you study, every time you learn, every time you grow, you're making a deposit into your personal bank of wisdom. And that bank pays compound interest. One day an opportunity comes your way. Because of what you've learned, you recognize it while others miss it. That's the compound effect. One day a challenge hits you hard. Because of what you've studied, you have the tools to handle it with confidence while others collapse. That's the compound effect. One day your children, your employees, or your friends come to you for advice. And because of years of learning, you have wisdom to share that can change their lives. That's the compound effect. The discipline of daily learning. Of course, the compound effect only works if you do. And the truth is, most people won't. Most people will let the days slip by. Most people will trade education for entertainment. Most people will choose the easy path. But if you're listening to this, I challenge you, don't be like most people, be the exception. Commit to the daily disciplines that compound. Read at least 10 pages of a good book every day. Take notes and review them weekly. Listen to podcasts, lectures, or audiobooks during idle time. Reflect each night. What did I learn today? How can I use it tomorrow? These small acts won't change your life tomorrow, but they will change the trajectory of your life forever. Closing thought. The compound effect is not magic. It is simply the law of cause and effect over time. Tiny efforts repeated daily become unstoppable momentum. So don't despise small beginnings. Don't ignore the little disciplines. Don't underestimate the value of one page, one idea, one lesson. Because 5 years from now, you will arrive somewhere. The question is, will you arrive with wisdom, skills, and opportunities? Or will you arrive with regret, wishing you had started sooner? The choice is yours. Choose the path of daily learning, and let the compound effect take care of the rest. What happens if you don't start? Life is a constant choice between discipline and regret. Every day you're either paying the price of learning and growth, or you're paying the price of neglect and stagnation. And make no mistake, both have a price. The question is not, will I pay a price? The question is, which price will I pay? If you choose not to educate yourself daily, if you neglect the disciplines of personal growth, if you stop feeding your mind with fresh ideas, the consequences will show up not immediately, but inevitably. The subtle decline. The danger of not educating yourself every day is that decline doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, silently, subtly. You don't wake up one morning suddenly broke, unskilled, and behind in life. No, these things creep up on you. Miss a day of learning, and it doesn't seem like much. Miss a week, and no one notices. Miss a year, and suddenly the gap between you and those who stayed disciplined has grown wide. Miss 5 years, and you'll wonder how others have raced ahead while you stayed the same. Neglect is like erosion. You don't see it happening, but over time it wears you down until one day you look around and realize you're far behind where you could have been. The penalty of staying the same. Here's the truth. The world doesn't stay still. Technology changes. Opportunities evolve. Industries transform. People move forward. So if you stay the same, you're actually falling behind. If you don't educate yourself daily, you're equipping yourself only for yesterday's challenges, not tomorrow's. Think about it. How many people lose jobs? Not because they're bad workers, but because their skills became outdated. How many businesses fail, not because the owners lack passion, but because they refuse to learn new strategies? The penalty of staying the same is irrelevance, and irrelevance in today's world is costly. Repeating the same mistakes. Another thing that happens when you don't keep learning is that you repeat the same mistakes. Without fresh knowledge, you keep recycling the same ideas, the same habits, the same decisions that got you stuck in the first place. Life becomes a loop, a cycle of frustration. Learning is what breaks the cycle. A new idea can save you from years of pain. A single lesson applied at the right time can change the direction of your entire life. But without that input, you're doomed to repeat yesterday over and over again. Loss of confidence. There's another hidden cost of not educating yourself. The loss of confidence. When you stop growing deep down, you know it. You feel it. Opportunities come your way, but you hesitate because you're not prepared. You're afraid to step up because you don't feel capable. Confidence doesn't come from wishing or hoping. Confidence comes from preparation, and preparation comes from learning. The more you know, the more you grow, and the more you believe in yourself. On the other hand, when you stop learning, self-doubt creeps in, you hesitate, you shrink back, and eventually you settle. The weight of regret. One of the heaviest burdens in life is not failure, it is regret. Failure you can learn from. Regret stays with you. And the greatest regret people have is not that they tried and lost, but that they never tried, never grew, never became the person they could have been. Imagine being 50, 60, 70 years old, looking back and saying, I had the chance to learn. I had the chance to improve. I had the chance to grow, but I wasted it. That, my friends, is a tragedy. And it happens not because people lacked intelligence or opportunity, but because they neglected the daily disciplines that lead to greatness. The cost in relationships and influence. Neglecting self-education doesn't just cost you financially, it costs you in relationships, leadership, and influence. If you don't grow, how can you guide your children? How can you inspire your team? How can you contribute to your community? People follow those who are growing, those who have fresh ideas, those who bring value to the table. But if you have nothing new to offer, your influence shrinks. Self-education is not selfish. It's the most generous thing you can do. Because when you grow, everyone around you benefits. When you don't, everyone around you suffers. Living below your potential. Perhaps the greatest consequence of not educating yourself daily is that you live far below your potential. Every human being is born with gifts, talents, and abilities. But potential unused is potential wasted. And the only way to unlock it is through learning. Without daily growth, you might live your whole life operating at 30% of what you're capable of. Imagine what the world loses when someone with genius inside never develops it. Imagine the books never written, the businesses never started, the inventions never built, the lives never impacted, all because someone chose not to grow. That is the cost of neglect, the turning point. Now here's the good news. The very moment you decide to educate yourself, the decline stops. The very day you pick up a book, take notes, reflect on a new idea, or learn a new skill, you've already shifted your trajectory. Growth doesn't erase the past, but it redeems the future. It says, I will no longer be the same. I will not settle. I will not neglect my potential. I will learn. I will grow. I will change. Closing thought. So what happens if you don't start? You stay the same while the world moves ahead. You repeat mistakes instead of learning from them. You lose confidence instead of gaining it. You carry regret instead of results. You live below your potential instead of above it. That's the price of neglect. And it's a price far too high to pay. So my challenge to you is simple. Don't pay the price of regret. Pay the price of discipline. Don't suffer from neglect. Benefit from growth. Don't let your future self look back with sorrow. Give them something to be proud of. Because the question is not, what if I do? The real question is, what happens if I don't start? And the answer is clear. If you don't, you miss the life you were meant to live. My friends, ideas are nothing without action. Knowledge without application is wasted potential. It's not enough to be inspired for a moment. You have to take that spark and turn it into fire. You have to take the principles of self-education, daily learning, and personal development and weave them into the very fabric of your life. Here's the truth. A single decision today can alter the course of your next 5 years. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You don't need to become an expert tomorrow. What you need is a commitment. A commitment that every single day, without fail, you will do something, however small, that moves you forward. So here's my call to you. Set aside at least 1 hour a day for your growth. Just 1 hour. If you can't give yourself 1 hour, then who else will? You give hours to your job, hours to entertainment, hours to obligations. But what about hours to you? The hour you invest in yourself will repay you 100-fold in confidence, in income, in influence, and in joy. Think about what 1 hour a day can do. In that time, you can read 10 pages of a great book. You can listen to a lecture that reshapes your thinking. You can write in a journal and capture ideas that will guide your decisions. You can practice a skill, review your goals, or reflect on lessons from the day. It may seem small, but remember, small disciplines compound. 1 hour a day becomes 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month, and 365 hours a year. That's the equivalent of 9 full work weeks spent on nothing but you. Imagine where you would be a year from now if you gave yourself that gift. But don't just study for the sake of studying. Study with purpose. Study with intensity. Study with the mindset that what you are learning is not just theory, it is a tool. And tools are meant to be used. When you read something that stirs you, don't just highlight it, apply it. When you hear an idea that challenges you, don't just nod your head, test it. When you learn a principle that excites you, don't just admire it, live it. Here's a philosophy I want you to adopt. Be a student of life. Don't just learn about your profession. Learn about philosophy, history, health, relationships, leadership, money, and character. Read biographies of great men and women. Study failure as well as success. Learn from your own experiences and from the experiences of others. Every subject has something to teach you. Every encounter holds a lesson. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Don't wait for someone else to hand you permission. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait until you feel ready. The right time to begin is always now. And if you start today, you will be amazed at how quickly momentum builds. Start small, but stay consistent. One page leads to a chapter. One chapter leads to a book. One book leads to wisdom that can transform your entire life. Let me warn you, this path will require discipline. Discipline to turn off the television. Discipline to put down your phone. Discipline to resist the comfort of mediocrity. But discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without discipline, dreams remain fantasies. With discipline, they become reality. Some people will laugh at you for being serious about your growth. They will call you obsessed, too focused, too intense. Let them laugh. While they are busy being entertained, you are building a life. While they are chasing distractions, you are building wealth, financial wealth, mental wealth, spiritual wealth. And one day when the harvest comes, those same people will ask you how you did it, and you'll tell them, I did it by educating myself every single day. Understand this. The future does not belong to the wishers, the dreamers, or the complainers. It belongs to the learners, the doers, the growers. It belongs to those who are willing to sow the seeds of discipline today, so they can reap the harvest of success tomorrow. So tonight, make a decision, a real decision. Decide that from this day forward, you will never let a day pass without investing in yourself. Decide that you will be the architect of your own mind, the builder of your own character, the author of your own future. Decide that you will rise above the crowd by doing what most people will not, committing to daily education. Don't just get through the day, get from the day. Don't just wish for success, prepare for it. Don't just admire others who are growing, join them. Be the person who steps up, who takes action, who leads the way. And remember, it doesn't take much to change your life. It just takes a decision, followed by daily action. Do something every day that brings you closer to your best self. Do something every day that adds value to your life. Do something every day that your future self will thank you for. Because the clock is ticking. The years will pass, whether you grow or not. The question is, when those years pass, will you look back with pride? Or will you look back with regret? Will you say, I made the most of my time? Or will you say, if only I had started sooner? The answer is in your hands. Start today. Start now. Educate yourself every day. Grow every day. And build the life that only you can build. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Don't just get through the day, get from the day. Don't just work for a living. Work on creating a life. Don't just exist. Educate yourself every single day and build the life you were meant to live. Thank you.